Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey folks, welcome back. Today our special guest zooming in from Atlanta, Georgia, or thereabouts, pretty close to, is Carson Olinger. Carson is a very experienced real estate investor. He's been investing in real estate on and off, I think since the early 2000s, Carson, and you kind of gave it a crack back then and got out of it for a while and then jumped back in with both feet quite a number of years ago. And he's a full-time real estate entrepreneur, moved up from doing single-family homes and flips, and these days more focused on multifamily. So Carson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity.
So give us a little snapshot of what real estate investing looks like for Carson Olinger in 2026. What's the portfolio consist of? What's your main focus these days?
We, Capital City Equity Group, my company, I own and operate. We also partner with some other investors through some other LLCs, but the face of the operation is the Capital City Equity Group. Under roof, we have about 200 doors, consisting of about 7 different properties and different asset classes, from mobile home parks to apartment complexes. We're expanding that and divesting out of some of the smaller assets, doing 1031 exchanges into some larger assets, primarily for value-added cash flow opportunities. That's pretty much what we're looking for. We like the multifamily space. We also look at boat and RV storage. Wherever we live with the mountains and the lakes, there's a lot of opportunity for that. The demographics suits us well. And then there's also some opportunities in basically light industrial. We're looking at, coin operations for laundromats in certain specific demographic areas, as well as even getting into, I don't even know the name of it yet. It's so new. It's basically taking a small industrial warehouse and converting it into 20 or 30, maybe 40 different small little offices, boutiques, if you will, for hairdressing and nails and those types of things, where you have one central common waiting room, a common bathroom, a common laundry service for all of those, and everyone has their own locked out room. So those are unique opportunities that we're exploring now. But multifamily is pretty much our driver.
Very cool. That last one you were talking about right before the multifamily. Yeah, that is interesting. I've done like 1,500 interviews. You're the first guy I've heard kind of mention that particular transformation. Have you seen some of these properties? It sounds like you don't have one yet, but you're looking.
I do not.
Have you seen some out and about in your journey, or is this something that you've come up with the idea for?
No, I'm not original. I don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
I emulate other people's success and try and emulate that as best I can. So my wife was getting her hair done from a lady who moved her office into one of these types of units, and she brought it to my attention. I was really intrigued. Turns out there's an owner offsite, and they turned about 5, maybe 20,000 square foot. And it depends on what size you get. Just an office complex, or even a warehouse, if you will, and just partition it out inside. And you have a common waiting room. You got security cameras in the common areas. You got one main locked door, and then everyone has their own rentable unit that's about the size of an incredibly large bedroom that would have a sink, maybe a window, and, a place, like, think of a lady doing her hair. She'd need a sink, a little closet to keep things in, lock it up. And there might be 20 or 30 or 40 of those, with a common bathroom everyone can share, and then a common utility closet, as well as a washer dryer to wash the related towels and things like that. Mm. And it was a really unique business model. And I talked to some of the owners of the units, well, I should say the renters of the units, and they liked the flexibility of it. Because the contracts aren't, 3 to 5, 7 years like you see in triple net lease concepts.
So they're probably not triple net leases, correct?
No, they're not. They're just renting space.
Rental, yeah.
You rent the space.
So probably way more affordable for them than whatever they were renting before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or it's the next step up from moving out of your living room running a
Right.
home-based business. And then
Yeah, it's got a parking lot, it's got street advertising, that kind of thing. So it's a little more credible from the perspective of your clients. So it's a unique business model, and I'm exploring that more. I think it's. I've heard it on some other podcasts as well. Another individual on, I think it was Rod Khleif's podcast, the multifamily podcast was talking about that. I listened to a lot of those, so it's unique in that way. So we're exploring that now and trying to find some places that might work well geographically.
So the only thing that kind of popped into my mind is if you got 30 or 40 of these in like an old, I believe you're saying like a warehouse type situation, wouldn't that get kind of claustrophobic? Like no windows, most of them wouldn't have windows. They'd be kind of interior type units. So is it just kind of like a box in amongst a whole bunch of other boxes there? How does that look as far as like
To some degree, yes, but what the owners have done with the one my wife went to is they cut windows into the sides. So all of the units went around the perimeter for the most part, and that worked really well. There were some interior units and they had skylights.
There you go. Solution. So yeah, that makes a lot of
So
sense.
there was some natural light. So you do have to be aware of those ergonomic type of things, right? So how the form and function is going to be a dungeon, those kind of things. So then you got to put, plumbing into each one of them to some degree. So, you've got, all of those things, water and what have you. So the infrastructure is pretty easy in light industrial, and you're just dealing with, partition walls really made out of drywall.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com.
Yeah. Very smart. That sounds very interesting. So it's kind of a win-win-win, right? Because you, as the owner of the building, instead of relying on one tenant, now you've kind of spread things out across 20, 30, 40 much smaller tenants, but
absolutely,
you got a lot less risk that way.
Yeah.
And then for the tenants, probably way more affordable than anything else they could rent, and a lot more flexible because they're probably on a month-to-month kind of thing versus some big long contract.
Well, they get them into annual contracts just like you would a multifamily. So there is some longevity tied to that. And there's a deposit made and those types of things because, you got to account for vacancy and the operational infrastructure of things. So you do want to have some of that. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to these owners, but I've read to some degree on the operations of these because I handle all of our operations. I got a team of people that run that for me. And so they all kind of report into me and they handle all the tenants and toilets. So I kind of focus on the acquisition side of things and underwriting with my other partners when we're looking at some larger assets. So I kind of get in behind that curtain. I look at the operational infrastructure, what it costs them to run things, and we can be a little more efficient because we are owner operators. So we can cut that operating expense down to some degree because we know, where I guess the money is going to be spent to fix things and what things should cost, as opposed to, hiring that out to a third-party management company where there's a lot of profit centers.
So with your existing deals, Carson, are you a co-GP on most of these properties, or are you the lead sponsor on these deals? Where do you kind of fit in?
So I've got a hybrid. I own some properties in and by myself. So I am the operating partner, the only guy. And then I've got other assets that I have with basically two other partners, and we've kind of grown from there and continue to grow. And they're aware of what I do because I do this full time. They do this as a side business. So they are co-GPs with me. We're all 33% owners of those assets. But they're aware that, I'm looking for other opportunities with other investors as well. But what I bring to the table is the operational competency and the team behind it and the software and all those types of things so we can turnkey day one. I'm also kind of the face of the operation, the outward handshake, if you will. So I'm doing a lot of the marketing, the networking, and collecting information on different investors and vetting of different assets and those types of things. So
what role do your co-GPs play? Like, what are their primary responsibilities? Raising capital, finding the deals? What are they involved in?
So they've got some unique offerings that they bring to the table as well. A lot of it's the analytics. One of them runs an accounting service, so he handles a lot of the accounting. He's more of the numbers guy, the Excel spreadsheet guy. He knows the numbers.
One guy for your investors, hopefully.
I'm sorry?
The guy that gets the K1s ready for your investors. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah. So we can lay out all the Excel spreadsheets and show the IRRs over periods of time. And, so I understand a lot of that, but he's really the guru behind it. So I kind of vet those things out. He brings that to the table. And then my other partner, he helps with a lot of the operational control as well. When, we've got a lot of property, so he steps in and handles that as well. So we kind of overlap to some degree, but not so much that one of us not needed.
So your primary bread and butter is multifamily. It's residential rentals, but you also
it's apartment complexes and mobile home parks.
Okay, and mobile home parks. Okay, it used to be the single family home business, but for flipping and whatnot.
Sure.
Okay. So you're also talking about looking at different asset classes like the one we've just been discussing for a few minutes, and as well as self-storage, I believe you said that you guys are looking at.
Sure.
So in those kind of situations, are you looking to partner up with other GPs that are actively involved in the space, or are you guys looking to kind of do your own thing and bring on a new asset class yourselves?
So we're pretty adept at finding opportunities. So we're not looking for other general partners per se. We are looking for limited partners. So people that have capital, they want to place that and get a very nice IRR. So depending on the asset class, we can return anywhere from 15 to 18% based on the exit strategy, which can typically be 3 to 5 years in that case. We've got another set of investors, which are totally different dynamic altogether, that they want to be in and out 6, 8, 10 months, 12 months on fix and flip type assets. And we do those as well. Not as much as we used to. The market's changed to some degree. So those opportunities and those quick turn and burn price points just really aren't available right now. I see that changing here in the next 12 months with the amount of foreclosures that we're going to get hit with. I think that's a huge opportunity for a subject to opportunity, which I'm very adept at. And we've acquired a lot of properties previously through subject to. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I teach is subject to acquisitions, which is basically, for people that don't know, is just taking over assets with the mortgage already in place and assuming that mortgage without really taking over the mortgage. Is still in the previous
qualifying for it and all that kind of stuff. So were you doing that back in the day with underwater properties and doing short sale type stuff there, or
not so much the short sales? It was more, distressed homeowners that needed to get out prior to foreclosure. We'd come in, offer them some money to walk. There's obviously some renovations that need to be done, take over the mortgage, fix the house up, gives us a low holding cost, sell it or hold on to it, quite honestly, and rent it out. Or potentially even wrap the mortgage with another mortgage through owner financing and just have the spread. Now, there's some legalities that you got to be careful with equity skimming and things like that the federal government's cracked down on, but we're very ethical in that approach and created land trusts to protect all the parties involved and created a lot of visibility for not only our investors, but also for the previous owners as they walked away from the home.
Yeah. All right, but these days the focus is primarily on multifamily properties. So what's kind of your ideal buy box in that department?
So we're looking for apartment complexes anywhere between 25 units and probably 400 units. That sweet spot is somewhere in there between 25 and 75. We find the hedge funds really don't look at those too often. There's not a lot of buyers in that market because it's usually a $2 to $5 million acquisition, maybe a little bit more or less. Hedge funds aren't looking at that. The average investor can't put it together. So the sellers don't have a lot of options. And we can get a lot of creative deal architecture, which is one of my strengths, in creating owner financing and, wraparound mortgages, subject twos, those types of things, to where we can offset some of the tax consequences the seller might have over time, create, a short-term exit strategy for them, but yet create a good cash flow opportunity for us and our limited partners.
Yeah. Very, very cool. And what markets are you operating in primarily?
So we try and stay in the Southeast. I live here. I'm a very huge advocate of being able to touch it, feel it, taste it, kind of the asset. I don't want to be owning something up in Vancouver that I never see. I need to know what's going on. And from an operational perspective, I think that's not only important, but I think it lends credibility to our investors as well, knowing that we've got our hands in it to some degree. So with that being the case, the Southeast is our area that we're focusing on. We don't want to be in strong, like, downtown markets. I think those don't present a lot of value add. It's more sit on it and wait kind of opportunities. So secondary and tertiary markets, for instance, Augusta, Rome, Georgia, even some of the college towns. We're seriously involved with some offers right now that we're putting out to student housing opportunities. There's a lot of student housing that creates a lot of unique opportunities. So those MSAs that might not look right for a traditional 12-month kind of lease make a lot more sense in the student housing area, especially in Georgia. Georgia's got a lot of students now going to school in-house, or in-state, I should say, through the scholarship programs. And a lot of these colleges stipulate you got to live on campus, but they don't have enough housing to cover it. So even though they're saying that, they're offloading that to elsewhere. And there's a lot of those loans that are now coming due, and the operators just can't handle them. So we find some opportunities to assume debt and to get in some opportunities in the student housing area.
Cool. So as we wrap up here, Carson, who are you looking to connect with these days?
I would like to connect with other investors that have capital they'd like to place in a passive way, yet have security in position. We're open to that. We're usually looking for $500,000 to $2 million in an LP position. We're not syndicators. We like to work specifically with investors, maybe 2 or 3 on a deal. But we're also looking to connect with other investors that might want to partner. Maybe they have a deal they want to bring to the table, allow us to own it and operate it, and then they get a piece of the action in a sub-GP role. That's something we would even be open to. Obviously, there's wholesalers out there and there's other brokers. We're always looking to connect and grow our network. We're always trying to learn from others. So that network provides a lot of those opportunities, because we don't know everything, but we know enough to be dangerous.
Nice. So Carson, if people want to connect with you, what should they do?
Well, we tell people just to connect on all the socials, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, what have you. But the easiest way to reach out to me is our website. They can go to www.capcity. I'll get my big head out of the way. Capcity, where is it over here? CapCityEG.com. www.capcityeg.com. Capital City Equity Group. And you can search me out and reach out to me through the website. I'd love to connect, grab a cup of coffee, have some lunch, and see where we can go.
Awesome. Carson, thanks so much for being on the show.
I do appreciate it. Thank you for your time. You have an awesome program.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody, take care, and we will talk to you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviews.com.